Well, hello everyone, good evening and welcome back to the Masters Championship. Tonight it is going to be around what would usually be the season opener of a Formula 1 season, but unfortunately for this season it isn't, and for TMC it's not going to be either. But we do have an interesting title challenge between four drivers, all being very close between everybody. But thankfully I have a commentator tonight, and the person that had me talk you through it is, I couldn't get Crofty, so I had to settle for the second best, which is Graham Chappell. Graham, how are you, my friend?
Hi.
How are you? I am 100%, Graham. How are you?
Not too bad, thanks.
So, whenever I started up that stream, Graham, I actually was watching, I was riding on board of Matt, and he crashed it completely out of turn one. So, yeah. That is him completely out of the session, and as I showed you the standings before, it is pretty close, and he is leading the way, and that is definitely not the best start he wants to this evening.
Not great. He's Bottased it almost, basically, coming out of turn number two. So, unless there's only two people who've yet to set a lap time, assuming they do, Matt is going to be starting this one from the back of the grid.
Which will be it gives them obviously free tire choice, which maybe help them within the race, but it's going to be very tough, especially with Australia, because it's pretty much it's very hard to overtake unless the driver in front of you is a lot slower. So it's going to be very interesting. But I have seen a few drivers have actually smashed the front wing, so a few drivers at the moment with this track are not liking it. Although, to be fair, it is a very hard track, I think, to lose your front wing, because it's quite wide. The only real corner you can do it is if you lose it out of what we call the Whisker corner, which off the top of my head I'm not sure if it's like 8 and 9 or whatever it is, but it's 11 and 12, sorry, yes. But other than that, like, there's no real other corners you can really smash your front wing, like.
Yeah, it's, to be fair, like, they do give you a wide mount. It's the big concern that'll be coming off of that turn 12, where the curb is obviously very large these days, so it's much easier to keep it through that section because you can run a bit wider, because otherwise it's grass on the left hand side otherwise before in previous years, so you have to minimize your angle of entry, which means then you've got more steering lock, and then that's when the back end likes to get away, was when you're trying to keep on the throttle and try and move through high speed. So if anything, this track is going to be easier as the years have gone on, and with the changes set to be made to the real life Australia, it's going to become a little bit easier very soon as well. Yeah,
it'll definitely make it a lot easier, and it'll make it definitely I think it'll probably make it a lot quicker as well, because there's a couple of corners where you can pretty much go a gear or two higher and carry a lot more speed through. So yeah, as we're seeing here now, it's going to be 118s. I would say maybe in the real life one you might see maybe even 116s, maybe even quicker than that. I have no idea. We'll find out when we get to the actual Grand Prix itself. But Graham, I'm just going to ride on board of Beastas, so if you want to take away the lap, go on ahead.
Yeah, heading in towards turn one, we want to take as much curb as you can, nice and clean. Again, that curb and that runoff has been increased as the years go on, so it's easier to take that a bit more speed, a bit more turn in, and down towards turn three. Wide in the entry, he goes down to second gear, quickly upshifts to third, then through turn four. He holds it through third. You can go to fourth if you want to. Take as tight as you can to the right hand side here. That curb used to give you all sorts of trouble. Then down towards turn six. Getting a good amount of curb here is key. Very clean stuff from Beastas as he heads through towards turns number 9 and 10. This is the break-ins under elimination completely on the real life calendar, but traction wanted to get away slightly there. You can see it, he runs a little bit wide into the wall. I don't think he lost any wing, but that element of danger should be one thing that people will be glad to see go. Could have seen the front wing go there. Nice and clean to the western corner again. Doesn't even need the curb on the left hand side. Very clean. Tight as he can to the right hand side. Turn 13, a few changes coming to this one as well, but for now, nice run off on the exit there. Use that curve to all your advantage. Swings in, keeps it in sixth. Again, use the curve on the left hand side. Heavy braking zone. Down to quickly up to third, and then try and keep hold of it, and then fully on the throttle. And the cross piece will come. This should be it's going to actually be a 19.3. He's actually slower than his previous time. It was very clean, but didn't find any improvement there.
Yeah, to be fair, it actually did look pretty clean. Now maybe it was one or two corners he did maybe get a bit too hot, or else the back end just wasn't stable for him, but there's definitely a lot more time in that lap for Beastas. But I'm just currently watching Kevin. He's currently 2/10 up going through the middle sector. Can he make an improvement and actually challenge, basically take Kelsborough off the top spot? He's got a bit of a oversteer moment out of the last corner. This might compromise him a bit of time, but we'll see if he gets a run up to the line. It's going to be an 18.8, and he just about beats him by 0.03 of a second. But that oversteer moment into the last corner, I would say, cost him at least another couple of hundreds up that straight, maybe even more.
Yeah, absolutely. Casper is beginning of the lap here, just behind as well.
So we'll see how Kelsper gets on. There's quite a big gap though between Kelsper and Kevin and Kelsper, and then to Beastas. There's quite it's half a second. Like, it's a big gap.
I expect it will come down a bit. Much more aggressive there on the exit curve is Kelsper there compared to Beast. It comes down towards turn number 3. Second, quickly up to 4th. Keeps it in 4th, up to 5th very early. Uses a bit more of the exit as well. So a bit more conservative on the gears than Beast was. He's over 10th quicker though in the half quicker in sector 1. Tight right hand side, minimise the run, distance covered. Deals run out of here. His 3rd gear up to 4th quickly, up to 5th quickly. So using higher gears there, minimising the wheel spin, and not losing too much time as a result, or too much turning as a result either. He lost a bit of time though compared to his other lap apparently though. He's just he's lost the back end. He's going to keep it out of the wall just about. The back end might slide in, but he's lucky. No damage there. Lap is gone, of course, but not too many people can get through a high-speed spin like that and come out the other side completely unscathed. Yeah,
to be fair, he did very well to keep that out of the wall, but at least it's good that he actually made the mistake now, because he was pushing quite hard on that lap, so it actually shows him that how hard he can push, so he will get probably 1, maybe 2 more runs at it if he's lucky, but that will definitely be playing in the back of his mind for when he comes to do his next run. But I'm just currently watching Dobby, who's about a 10th up. He goes up into P3 with a 19.3, so Dobby, Beastas and Gamer Paco, who recently moved up to 4th but was demoted down to 5th because of Dobby's time, it's pretty close between them. And to be fair, Captain Chubbs as well, he's not too far behind either on a 19.4, and then Wesker as well on a 19.5, so it's pretty close from P3, I would say, all the way down to, you can enough even say Stevie G and P11, so it's pretty close between everybody.
Might end up having a kind of class A, class B at the moment, but tight down there for sure. That's got to be a confidence knocker there for Kelsper. That'd definitely be in the back of your mind, because pole position is there for the taking, and when the car bites you like that, you tend to lose a bit of confidence, like because you just want to get another lap in. Like how much do I push? How much can I take out of it this time? Is it going to bite me again?
Yeah, but like at the same time, we know what Kelsper's like. Kelsper, he will get the head down and will know from the mistake that he made, and he will rectify that for his next run. So I'm pretty confident that he can come out in his next run and just absolutely blow the lap times out of the water. So it'll be interesting, but it's going to be also interesting to see if Kevin can make an improvement in his time, because we're assuming at the moment it's going to be a pole position shootout between Kevin and Kelsper, who pretty much this season have been the 2 qualifying merchants all season. I think Kevin has the most pole positions, and then Kelsper's not too far behind. So we know these 2 guys have good 1 lap pace, but whether they have good race pace for the whole race, is another thing. Like, we know Kelsper's ridiculously consistent, but as for Kevin, he makes a few mistakes from time to time, but hopefully he can actually keep the car going and can actually put Kelsper under a lot of pressure this evening.
Hopefully that's the case. Beast is out here on another lap, flying away. He won a few cars on track, trying to find an improvement. He's out quite early, unless he's planning to get back in again. Kevin's on out lap 2, so, and quickest sector 1 apparently. A bit more aggressive on the curves this time. Ooh, have to fight that car a little bit there to get back in on the racing line. But he's slightly quicker. He comes out. Okay, it's very clean. I'm just not sure how quick it's going to be. Let's see this time around. He didn't use any of this curve last time. He's finding improvements. More aggressive this time around through that Wesker chicane, but seems to have found a bit more pace this time around. The right-hander, much better entry point to that this time around. Okay, I like to knock it down to 5th for that turn 14, just for an extra bit of bite into the corner. But here he comes in, nice and clean out of the last turn. That was much better. This should be a much better lap this time round.
Oh,
it is.
It's in the 18s, but it's just not close enough. But the question is, though, Grim, I don't think he's going to get round to maybe get 1 more lap in. It's going to be touch and go. for him anyway. But to be fair, we've seen this from Beastas all season. He likes to be the first runner to be out on a clear track for the final runs, and like we know Beastas will come out maybe a minute and a half, 2 minutes before everybody else will set a lap, and that'll be him for the session, while everybody else will come out with like 2 minutes to go. And some people may get held up in traffic, some people may not. So Beastas sometimes does play it smart, but I think with the track evolving as well towards the latter stages, he's maybe losing out maybe a wee tiny bit in lap time as well, would you not say?
Possibly. Obviously with 13, 14 other cars pounding around, does help a bit. Kevin invalidated his lap and his boxing. He should be able to get back out again in time. Beast, unless he's fueled for a second run, which I don't think he is. I think that's probably going to be it.
It might be for Beastas, but I'm just going to watch Yarham, who was having a fantastic race last time out, but completely lost out of the last corner, which demoted him. As well as penalties, demoted him the whole way down to P8. But if he can show the pace what he showed last week tonight, then it'll be very, very, very good for Yarham, because I haven't seen that pace from Yarham in so long. And he did message me before the race saying he thought it was Japan tonight for some reason. So he actually had a Japan setup on, but he had to go into TT last minute and get an Australia setup. But he is currently half a second up on his time, but he has done a 21 flat. So yeah. I expect Yarham to be hopefully in the 19s. But to be fair, the car looks very tentative. That's just what happens when you don't do any practice. You don't have the confidence to fire the car into the corner. But we'll just see how much he's up now. He's currently 8 tenths up. It says he goes purple in sector 2, which is definitely doesn't go purple in sector 2, because there's no way he does. But he is 8 tenths up on his time, so he might creep into the 119s. I think if he can nail the last couple of corners, he might challenge the likes of Adam and Merck for a 19.7, I would assume. But we'll soon find out now as he comes into the last couple of corners. He did take it in 5th gear. As Graham says, he likes to take it in 5th gear. I personally like to take it in 5th as well, because I just like the extra bit of rotation. As everybody says for wheel, extra rotation takes the piss out of it, but that's not, it's what happens. But Johan does cross, and he does do an 18.6, so I actually was saying that he was going to challenge Adam and Merck, but to be fair, he did beat them. So to be fair, that last sector from Johan it didn't look great, but it was quick, so fair play to him.
Yeah, decent. Japan is not this week, but soon, so he'll be fair enough for that.
He'll have to set up an already.
Yeah. Chubbs, I believe, is our next man on a flying lap.
Yeah, I think Chubbs is currently a 10th and a half down, I think, for the first sector. We'll see if he can make a bit of an improvement into the second. I don't think he is. Nah, he's 2 tenths down in his time, so I don't think Chubbs is going to make an improvement. I think he might, if he has enough ERS and enough fuel, he might go for one more run. So to be fair, I think the tires will be able to hold on for another lap, because I don't think the degradation is too bad around here.
He's spending it all though. He's still in the hot lap, so he's going for it.
He is going for it.
Traffic in front gets out of the way. Will definitely distracted him though.
It definitely would have, but we'll see if Chubbs actually continues for another lap, because it's quite strange that he has a lot of ERS left. But to be fair, he's crossing line with about he's run out of it there. But to be fair, he did improve in the last sector, because he was 2.5 tenths down and he managed to get it within half a tenth, so he did improve by 2 tenths, which is a bit of a shame, and he's messed up in the first sector. So that's pretty much, it shows that Chubbs maybe could have done a 19.2, 19.1 if he had nailed the lap together.
Yeah, he had a really nice last corner where he was almost full throttle and was able to get through. Just the rest of the lap didn't work out. Dobby's invalidated his lap, so that's him over.
And Merck, I think Merck as well has also aborted his lap as well, so he's not going to be improving. I'm trying to see who's the furthest driver along. I think it is Matter. He's currently, yeah, he's just under 2 tenths up on his time. See how he gets on. He did go into 5th gear up in the 6th, into the second, into the last corner. Gets good traction, nice tight line through the last corner. Sometimes the curb likes to get you a wee bit off, give you a bit oversteer, but he handles it pretty well. And what does he do? He improves to the 19.8, but when he promotes in one position, so it wasn't the best lap for Matter. But I know a lot of drivers don't like this track, so it's maybe just not one of his favourites. But I'm watching Adam now as he comes into the second last corner, second gear, up in the third very early. Fantastic traction as you get in the pad, up early in the 4th. Good run out of the last corner. How does he get on that up into the line? Is he going to improve by much? He goes up to 19.5, which is into P7, so it's there or thereabouts. He has made an improvement, but as I said before, like from Gamer Paco the whole way down, it's so close. Like as you're saying, Graham, it is two fields basically.
Yeah, basically. Combi coming through. I think Merck may have got blocked on his lap. I think Chubbs was there, possibly. He hasn't validated the lap, but he's backed off well before.
Kevin's on provisional pole. Calsper. improved on his time by 700s, but then Kevin just goes, nope, I'm going to improve it by another 10th. Beastars is coming across the line now. Is he going to find a 17.6? He's going to do a 18.8, sorry. So it is close between him and Casper, 6,000th of a second, but Kevin, out in the last lap, has just absolutely taken pole position completely off Casper, and to be fair, I didn't expect Beastars to be as close, but he is, so hopefully this is going to be an exciting race anyway, Graham.
Hopefully. So nice to see those three quite close together then. But it is Kevin on pole ahead of Casper in second, Beastars in third, Paco fourth, Dobby didn't get his last lap right in the end, he's in fifth place. Wesker, good effort from him in sixth, Chubbs then in seventh, very close between all these guys of course. Combi eighth, Adam ninth, Yaram then sneaking to the top 10. Merck again, like I was saying earlier, was I think he may have got blocked on his lap. He certainly backed out of quite early before basically where his second one ended. He's in 11th, might not be too upset with that, given that he can have a choice of his tyres. And the Matter then in 12th, CBG in 13th then, and Matt and Bomber Samper without times. I know Matt won't be too upset because he is a believer of the alternate strat, and I don't disagree with him.
I don't disagree with him either, Grahams. I think Matt will have a strong chance, but to be fair, as we're actually going to talk about now, what is the strategy around here? I can't remember, like people have been saying before, it's a two-stop race, but I think you can maybe get softs to hards probably, would it be?
Yeah, you can definitely go that direction for sure. You soft more of a qualifying tyre than you use in the race. Oh, I'd be surprised if we saw two stops, to be honest. I didn't think it was that quick, but the key for the guys at the back, especially Matt, would be limiting penalties, because you're coming through the field anyways, and you need to limit your penalties around here, and this track can be quite notorious for them, so something to keep an eye on. But I do expect most people outside the top 10 to start on mediums would be my guess.
Yeah, maybe medium tires is the best. It's been so long since I actually done an Australia race, I can't even remember when the last time was I done it. But to be fair, I'm also just reading the YouTube comments, so we actually have Ali Reza in the YouTube comments. So Ali, greetings. Good that you're actually watching. Good that you're watching the stream. It's good to actually have you back watching the stream. So do appreciate it, and hopefully it's a fun race for you and for everybody else that's watching. But yeah, just predict the strategy for Kevin. It's saying one stop is a soft to hard pit around about lap 9, lap 11, or else you can go for a two stop on the mediums. So looks like the guys on the softs will probably do that strategy, which is softs to mediums, unless there's a safety car and they try and stay out. But I think if a safety car comes out, they will pit very early for a set of hards.
Yeah, likely story. CVG on the hards there, speaking of, in 13th. Bomber going aggressive on softs from the back. That's aggressive one. Everyone else on the medium tyres as probably expected.
Yeah, so it's going to just be, it's just, I don't know how this is going to go, because we know what this track is like. There is a tendency to be a few incidents that are going to happen, I would assume, as Matter completely lights the rear tyres, and Stevie G was behind him, and I just watched the POV, and Matter just absolutely lit the rear tyres up. So I suppose that's the best thing to do if you're going to get the temperature into them, because the mediums will take definitely a lot longer to get up to temperature, and especially with how slow people go on the formation lap, as me and you have experienced, Graham. The slower people go, just the tyres just do not. It's so hard to get them up to temperature. It's so hard. I don't understand how people on a pad can actually do it better than a wheel driver. I don't understand it.
Yeah, especially like CVG on his heart's gonna have a tough time getting his. There's some tracks where the way of the track naturally allows you to warm your tires up, but if you're somewhere like Baku, say, you got to do all that work yourself basically as you get up to the line. It's much more difficult on the two harder compounds.
Well, Graham, we will soon find out anyway, man. But we are coming around the last couple of corners now from this formation lap. Who are you going to go for a race win? I
will say Casper will win the race, as Matthews dropped it on the formation lap again. So congratulations to him. I will say Casper Beast, and I think Wesker can get himself onto the podium.
Oh, that's a brave shout, Graham. I like that. That's a very ambitious one. I'm gonna go Casper for the win, Gamer Paco for second, and I'm actually gonna try and go for an outside one. I'm gonna go for Captain Chubbs for P3.
Wow, that's bolder than mine.
That is bolder. But Graham, you know what, man? I always take the race starts. I'm going to let you take it for a change.
Oh, beautiful. Sitting on board here with B-Stats. I always like sitting in third place driver, see what the run is like. Not a decent run down to turn 1. Start will be key, but not make or break. The big overtake opportunities usually come towards turn 3, so exit is critical. Then 5 red lights. And away we go. Looks like a good start immediately then for Kevin. All 3 getting away pretty nicely. Let's see if there's any pressure. Oh, pack on the inside of Dobby perhaps. Cuts the corner a bit. Wesker on the outside here, but they all seem to get through relatively cleanly. Oh, there's Carnage at the back. I think that's the arm round. Combi, I think, is round as well. A disaster for the Ferrari, but they seem to get through down to turn number 3 safely enough at the front. Kevin leading the way.
I think there was a McLaren that was actually Captain Chubbs was the one that was caught in contact as well, but I think he's got an illegal overtake because he's just slowed down to let everybody through. So yes, that was 3 drivers completely, absolutely killed each other into turn 1 as the timing screens are messed up. They're going that slow that it's making me think there's a safety car, but I definitely don't think there is, as there's a yellow flag in sector 1. That is actually going to be Yarham, who has already crashed again for the second time in a couple of corners, and I'm surprised that wheel is not off. To be fair, he does have a puncture, so he's got a puncture from a bit of contact, which is quite a surprise because it's not often you see that. But as a forcer for Yarham, as Captain Chubbs has wing damage, I think Matter also has wing damage as well because he was caught up on it, and Bomber and Combi has, I think he's actually got away with it, and Matt has managed to avoid it, so fair play to Matt for avoiding it.
I think Yarham's fine with that. He's not got a puncture, he's got damage. I don't think he's got a puncture, so he can at least get back at decent speed. But Kevin with a decent lead at the end of lap 1 here. It looks like it's going to be a second or so. Sets a fast lap of the race. Just under a second, and B-Stats just behind him. Closest battle we seem to have would be Wesker in the back of Paco, perhaps.
I'll say this, so Graham, Stevie G on the hards up in the P8. What a start for him.
It's been the right place at the right time. Is this the key to see how the cars behind him, like Merck, like Matt, will absolutely need to clear him, because he's going for a long time in this race, and the natural progression of things, that gap is only going to get bigger, especially now that he's out of DRS. You'd expect the softs to be much quicker than the hards at this phase of the race, so pressure's on for the guys at the back, but they're on mediums themselves. It's not exactly, it's not going to be as quick obviously as the soft to try and get past, obviously being 2-step compound softer, so easier said than done for these guys.
Yeah, it definitely is, and Stevie G is currently learning manual gears, and to be fair, if he's learning manual gears, then he's learning it pretty well, because it does look like his pace is improving, which is definitely what you want to see from anybody that's turning from automatic to manual gears. So if he can keep the sort of level of improvement that he's gaining, he will turn into, I would say, quite a very good driver. He is a good driver at the minute, but he turned into an even better driver, and with being on the hards ahead of 2 quick drivers in Merck and Matt, he's doing a fantastic job at the minute. But as you can see, Merck he looks like he's getting much better traction off the last corner, and to be fair, Stevie G is 1.6 seconds behind Adam, will not have the effect of DRS, so I think Matt and Merck will have him pretty easy onto the DRS. We'll just see now, as this DRS is just not really long enough, as there's 3 of them, to give you a better chance to overtake, but all 3 of them are, I would say, pretty much useless because you don't really make an overtake anyway. So it's just a difficult one.
Turn 3 is probably your best bet. Get a good run out of turn 1, and then hope you can do something down towards there, or hope for a mistake possibly, as that's a master move place, I believe. I only hope for a mistake coming out of turns 11 and 12.
Yeah, that's definitely it, Graham. But to be fair, like, it is, you need to have an absolute fantastic run out of 11 and 12 to even have a chance of overtaking the driver ahead. But you would expect, with Merck and Matt being, as you were saying before, on the medium tires, they should be able to make this pretty easy. But we'll just see now. Stevie G's getting much better run, although to be fair, his back end does not look fantastic. But Matt's got a much better run through, as we would call, the Wesker corner than Merck. But I don't think Matt's going to be close enough to make a move. He is not. Combi in behind, doesn't have any damage, and is on the soft, so I would expect him to be hounding Matt and Merck probably at the end of this lap. But up at the front, it is, Matt's already got a penalty, so that's definitely not what you want to see anyway. But at the front, B-Stas has dropped well out of the DRS window, so either he just has not got the pace in the race, or else he's made a massive mistake and has cost him quite a bit of time. Kevin as well has also got a penalty, so that's not what he wants, and Kalsper's just sticking 7 tenths behind, and at the minute is in a pretty position.
Yeah, the thing with Matt is going to be tough is that obviously any mistake Merck makes in that area of the track as he kind of did. He's got DRS as well on the car in front, so it can be extra tough now for Matt as Merck got close. Oh, Paco's round.
Oh, I don't know what. I think he might have just clipped the curb. I think, but now Stevie G's right behind him. Oh,
just in front.
That was Stevie G. I would say had to slam on the brakes there. But to be fair, that's not going to do Paco's tires any good whatsoever. Especially with them being. To be fair, the softs can go. Well, it says they can go 9 laps, but they're living up going 9 laps with him with having a spin like that. And in the background, Combi has made the move on Matt. So as I say, Combi was trying to get it up past Matt, and he has made the move pretty easy, but for Matt's stuck in behind, and I think Matt's going to try and come back at him. No, he's not. Combi. He's just got the much better straight line speed at the minute, and into the Wesker corner. Combi, Matt even had to shift down to 5th gear there. He just didn't have the initial turn in because he was stuck in the turbulent air of the car in front, as Merck is so close behind Stevie G but cannot make the move. And is he going to try it into fast right hand? I don't think it's pretty close. He's going to chuck it down in the second last corner. It'd be brave if he does. He was thinking about it, but he didn't, as he gets Stevie G runs deep. I think Merck's going to try and go for a bit of a switchback. He definitely is, but Stevie G has the DRS, and I think Merck is going to have to burn as much as DRS as possible. He is. Turn 1, is he going to make the move? He's on the inside. It should be pretty easy. Stevie G's not going to really fight it too much, and Merck is now up into P8. It was a well calculated move, and Merck up and now into P7, or sorry, P8. And Stevie G, is he going to come back? I don't think he's going to be close enough to come back. He is not, and Combi's not close enough to overtake Stevie G. So good move from Merck, and Stevie G is at the moment. The back end looks very squirmy, so these tyres don't look like they're working in their effective window just yet.
Not just yet. It's just one of those for Merck where you have to just bite the bullet and use that ERS just to get by, because it's a must-make move as he picks up a penalty. He's unlucky because he probably would have got past him down towards turn 13, but of course Stevie G had DRS from Paco, who just spun in front, so but only delayed it by a couple of corners. So that's a big one for Merck, and the rest now have to try and follow suit. Yeah,
the rest of the try and follow suit. Combi was actually trying to make the move in on Stevie G, but he just locked up and just couldn't make the move. And Stevie G, to be fair, is the cork in the bottle here. He has started to cause a bit of a train as he picks up a penalty. A lot of drivers are going to be doing that, but to be fair, much better run for Combi, and it's an easy move up into turn 13. Easy as you like, and Combi is now up into P9 and is going to be hopefully trying to hunt down Merck, because Merck's going to have the better tyres in the next couple of laps, so if Combi's going to do it, he would need to do it very quickly. But at the front, Kalsper's got the gap down to 4/10. Beastas is still 1.8 seconds behind Kalsper, and Dobby's dropping off as well as Wesker. So Wesker and Adam, to be fair, most of the season have been pretty close in terms of pace, so this is a nice wee entertaining battle between the two of them.
Possibly. Be interesting to see how it works in strategy, if he decides to go for an undercut or whatnot. And here comes Combi ship with the move on Merck, as you were saying. Easy as you like, using that tyre is still working quite well. Soft compound tyre, and comes up into 8th place.
Does indeed, as sector 2.
Oh, Matt's had an incident, I think, with Stevie G, has he?
No, I think it might have been. I think he might have actually.
Yeah, I'm looking. Matt's streaming this, and he got a tap from the rear, big hit from the rear from Stevie G, which sent him spinning into turn 3. No damage from Matt, but obviously he's lost a significant amount of time.
Oh, that's not what he wants. I thought whenever I was looking at it on the, like with the Merck and Combi battle, I thought I'd seen him behind it. I don't even think the two of them were close, so I don't know how the
Stevie possibly lag, because I don't see any damage here on that wing of Stevie G, and it was a pretty sizable hit. So perhaps maybe Matt might have ghosted on his screen. Possibly, but yeah, it was a big hit for sure. He's lost by 3 seconds.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate. But to be fair, we know what Matt's connections like. Sometimes it is a bit tricky, because I've watched a few of his videos and the lag on his screen is absolutely ridiculous. So I don't know how he manages to race with it, but he ends up managing to do it anyway and still pulls out strong performances. So that's a sign of a good driver. But I'm just keeping an eye on the gap at the front. Kalsper is still sticking close behind Kevin, but it's going to be interesting to see which one of these two will bolt first. If it was me, if I was Kevin in Kevin's shoes, I'd probably bolt first, because at the end of the day you don't really have anything to lose, because you have a 3-second penalty, and you know Kalsper's not going to follow without the 3-second window, because it's just not what he's going to do. Like, he's just that consistent. So I think Kalsper at the minute's in a strong position, and it's up to Kevin now to see what he's going to do. Is Kalsper going to follow him in, or is Kalsper going to do the complete opposite? But Beastas could also be a cork in the bottle here too, by he can maybe pit in the next lap and cause the two of them to have the pit as well.
He's still Beastas is still an undercut range here. Like, he could definitely do it if he wanted to. He's just under 2 seconds. He could do it. Yellow flag, and that's Bomber out of the race.
Is that going to introduce a safety car? Because it's VSC. Now the question is now, Graham, is Kevin, Kalsper or Beast going to pit?
Lap 7. Hards should go to the end, but I imagine they want to try and do mediums, no? Let's see.
We'll see. Kevin's boxing. Kevin's boxing. Is Kalsper boxing? He is indeed. Is Beastas?
Oh, another penalty coming into the pits though for Kevin. Corner cutting. Dobby stays out.
Dobby stays out.
Wesker boxes. Adam has to stay out. For some of these guys coming in, they're not going to feel the benefit of this because it will end before they finish their pit stop. Obviously, Paco leader now. He comes in. Combi carries on, and obviously the soft runners will carry on as well.
So it's going to now also be interesting to see. Where's Kevin going to come out in all this? He's going to come out. Is he going to come out behind Matt?
Oh, it's going to be tight.
Oh, he is about behind Matt. So that's not what Kevin needed. But I think. Oh, I don't know, because I think Kevin's tyres are going to be a bit colder than Matt's at the moment. So I think Matt might still have the initial grip, but it depends whether Kevin can actually stay in the DRS. But Matt is closing the gap to Merck ahead. It was 3 seconds. It's now 2.5. So he has got the pace. It's just it's unfortunate what happened with the incident between him and Stevie G, but we'll probably see it after the race. It all depends. And then Bomber has left the session, so it's not a good night for Bomber anyway. But Kevin has pitted and to be fair has pulled out a 1.6 second gap on Kalsper. So it looks like in the pit stops the Red Bull was a lot quicker than the Williams.
Seems like it. That worked out very well because they're just exiting the pit lane by the VSC engine, so they basically got a full pit stop advantage under that VSC the leaders did. So worked out well. Kevin's going to need it though because he picked up another penalty coming into the pits for the pit lane. So he's got 6 seconds now, whereas Casper has nothing. So even though he got that gap, he's going to need a lot more.
Yeah, he's definitely going to need a lot more. But as I was actually about to say, is Adam, Dobby and Combi going to try and do an alternate strategy? But they're definitely not, because Adam and Combi are both in. So realistically, the only person that can maybe chance the mediums is if he stays out for, I'd say, another 3 or 4 laps, would be Dobby. So if Dobby can pit around about lap 13, lap 14, maybe even lap 12, he'll get the mediums probably to the end. So it's going to be interesting to see what Dobby does in the next couple of laps.
Yeah, I imagine him and Matt will be looking towards that soft medium run if possible, or at least get some extra change on their hards. Combi came out just under 3 seconds behind Paco. That's kind of what he's lost in terms of that battle, at least.
Kevin's still, to be fair, sticking very close behind Matt, but Kalsper's at the moment not making too much of an inroads on Kalsper, despite Kalsper being, you could pretty much say, held up by Matt at the moment. And Kalsper with Kevin's 6 second penalty, he doesn't really have to push too hard, he just has to keep it consistent. Beastlass has lost a lot of time behind Stevie G. I did see him weaving, so I'm not sure if he was a bit annoyed that Stevie G didn't move out of the way quick enough, or he tried to fight it a bit harder. I'm not sure because I didn't actually see it, but I seen Beastlass was weaving, so he was unhappy about something. So we'll probably find that out at the end of the race anyway. Yeah,
he's lost out quite big here in this part as Dobby pits. He's lost quite because he was just under 2 seconds. I'm pretty sure this whole VSC did not work out nicely for him. I'm sure he would have been thinking he's close enough to do an undercut possibly, and opportunity was taken away from him on this occasion.
Yeah, it definitely was. But to be fair, Graham, with Matt's incident with Stevie G, he has actually managed to claw back that gap to Merck very quickly. And Kevin, look at Kevin, he's just right behind Matt. Kalsper picks up a penalty as well. That's not often we see that from him, but Kevin's going to go around the outside of Matt. Is Matt going to fight it? I think he is. Oh, he locks up a bit, but I think Kevin's got the more superior tyres at this stage, and easy move around the outside. Beautiful move around the outside, and Kevin at the moment, good move up into P2, and if he can pass Merck, he just needs to get the hammer down and start pulling away, because at the moment he needs 3 seconds on Kalsper and no more warnings basically. So if he can pull a 3 second gap, he definitely has a very strong chance of winning this race, and it would not be like Kevin to win a race.
That should give him a little bit of hope that Kalsper's got a penalty this early on. He just obviously has to crack down on his own stuff himself, as Merck very kindly lets Kevin right through there. Just needs to kind of crack down on his own stuff, because now with 2 cars in between, I know Kalsper's right here behind Matt. It should be possibly, this is a good chance for the gap to extend, and he only needs 3 seconds right now instead of 6. So this last lap of the bit has worked out quite nicely for Kevin, but he needs to stick with it. No more mistakes. Yeah,
he definitely needs to cut out the mistakes, and I'm very surprised that Kalsper actually picked up a penalty, because it's not often we see Kalsper pick up a penalty. So it just shows you that a driver. It just shows you a driver of Kalsper's level is picking up penalties. It shows you how hard that this track is to not get ETLs. But sure, Graham, I know what you're like. You're a man that wouldn't get penalties around this track because you're just you're very precise when you come in that corner.
It's all about playing the long game. It's all about understanding that you need to sacrifice a few tenths to gain a few seconds at the end of the race, possibly many seconds at the end of the race, depending on the track. You just got to do what you can to. What can I do to make this happen? What can I do to make sure I don't end up where I'm not supposed to be? What can I do to save myself seconds at the end of the race? You know, that means getting off the throttle earlier. That means getting off in mid-corner because you see you're going wide. You got to do what you got to do to get to the end of the race. Whether it be penalties or traction. And it doesn't mean scrubbing off a bit of speed. Ultimately, it can usually come back to reward you in the end. And given the right circumstance and safety cars, maybe even more than that.
That is true. Like, some drivers just want to go for sheer speed and just not even care about the race, which I think is the likes of, like, I think Kevin, and you can never even say like Merck and Matt, because they pick up a lot of penalties and they just want to go as fast as possible. But drivers of what you were saying, like just yourself, and even you could even say Scuba, you boys are more thinking, you're thinking of the game, just like sacrifice a couple of tenths but gain it at the end, which is, a lot of drivers have their different styles, Graham, but to be fair, your style most of the time always does work and you do get fantastic results out of it. So I think a lot of drivers need to take from your sort of mindset to understand. And I don't mean it, I mean it like, you know, they should be thinking a wee bit more like you, because you're a very intelligent man when it comes to being on a racetrack anyway.
There's a lot to think about. Yeah, I'll allow you to give your thought to. I'll hold that thought for a sec because Casper is coming up the inside of Matt. Does he? Oh, big lock up there. Thought maybe the door was going to open for Casper. This is good. This is exactly what Kevin needs now. This gap is extending, getting close to that 3-second range, and there's still 2 cars on mediums for Casper to pass it. So he gets by this one. There's another one still to come, and you can be damn sure I don't think Mark is going to be giving freebies here to Casper. This is excellent stuff for Kevin, who can stretch away there at the front. But it's kind of just, it's a combination of things, you know, to kind of get to that place, in terms of consistency, in terms of racecraft, lack of penalties. It all kind of adds up. But if you can't do one without the other, then you're going to limit your result somewhat in the end. So it all kind of has to come together. And again, you look at the big picture, and that's something that Scuba particularly kind of excels at as well. There's so much more going on in the race than just what's happening on this lap. There's so much more. So you have to think not just about what's happening now, but what could happen in 2 laps, what could happen, and be prepared for kind of all eventualities. And you're covered basically, and then how you react to stuff, because often what happens to you in racing, certain things happen that you can't control, but it's how do you react to that? How can you make something happen of it? Sometimes it's not salvageable when things are out of your control, but sometimes it can be, and you can do yourself a lot of good trying to prepare for that as well. And nothing Casper can do to prepare himself to get by, though. He's still crawling behind these 2 guys on mediums, not finding any way through. That's because Matt has got DRS to Merck in front. If Merck was out of the equation here, or if Matt vice versa was out of the equation, I've no doubt that Casper would be well and truly through by now. But the 2 cars pulling each other along, if anything, Matt's looking more in the back of Merck than Casper on the back of Matt. So frustrating laps here for Casper. Yeah,
it definitely is. And to be fair, Beastas is not too far behind us either. Beastas is now starting to gain quite a bit of time from Casper being held up from the 2 guys in front.
Yeah, this will be smiling here because he's not got a penalty.
I'm
just looking at that. My inside sources tell me that Matt's tyres are around 60%, so he'll be dropping away quite soon.
Your inside sources by watching the stream.
By watching a stream, yeah. Those are my direct sources. That's another extension there, looked like, for Casper. I tell you, in this dirty air, he could be at risk of picking up another penalty here.
Yeah.
Kevin's got the gap between himself and Merck alone, let alone the 8 or so tenths, 9 tenths even, that's been covered here. And still, he has not got a lot of ERS left either. I think Casper's quite on the ropes here, which is unusual for Casper, but push has to come to shove here. And again, he's just struggling in that dirty air. They had to correct the car, and he's not going to get an opportunity to overtake there into turn 4.
Yeah, he's definitely not. And to be fair, Graham, the longer he stays behind these 2 guys, like, Beastas will catch him. Beastas is not coming in at a fast rate. Like, you would expect Beastas to come in a lot quicker rate, but he is probably feeling a wee bit of the dirty air from in front because he is only less than 2 seconds behind. I'm not sure if it's really effective in this game being 2 seconds behind, but he's just not closing in as quick as he should. If he was on, like, say, a medium compound tire, he would close this in maybe a couple of tenths a lap. but at the moment he's taking his time, but he needs to hurry up about it because Kelsper at the moment, once these two guys pit, Matt and Merck, which I expect they're going to pit around about I'd probably say lap 17, maybe 17, 18, and maybe go for a set of softs. It's just Beastars needs to be within that 1 second window by the time these two guys in front do pit ahead of Kelsper, because if Beastars is within the 1 second window, it's going to be very hard for him to get out of it, sort of thing. But at the moment he's actually losing a bit of time on his lap, so Beastars just doesn't have that initial pace at the moment in this race.
He's doing what he needs to do though. He's keeping it within the range. Even if he doesn't got the pace, he can still make it up on penalties potentially afterwards. More ERS this time round for Kelsper. I wonder how much he dares use coming out of turn 2. Again, he's just not close enough, and with the DRS that Matt has in front, there's nothing he can do as Merck goes defensively. I tell you what, these two battling might help him. Matt goes deep.
Beautiful move. Matt, that is. It's side by side, but that would have been beautiful from Matt. But Merck's fighting back. Kelsper's trying to make a three-way, but he can't get in. He's waiting for a crash, but it's beautiful between Matt. Matt's had to run wide. That's unfortunate for what happened, but is he going to try around the outside? Merck lets him go. It was beautiful racing between the two of them. Matt absolutely mugged him off around the outside, but Merck did come back. Merck came back at him as Kelsper in the background is coming around the outside. Is he going to make it? Merck is going to fight it, but I think... he's over the curb. He's lost a bit of traction, and Kelsper's around the outside, and that's what Kelsper needed. He was waiting, but look at Beastars now. Beastars is right behind this as well, Graham. So Kelsper has lost a lot of time in this battle from Merck and Matt. That's now what Kelsper needed, and Beastars is... If he can pass Merck very quickly, which I don't think he will, because I don't think Merck will let him go that easily. As you can see, he was trying to hold up Kelsper as much as he could, so Beastars might have a tough time of it, and it actually might play back in Kelsper's hands now with Beastars anyway. But it's going to be interesting now to see when Matt is going to pit. But it was a beautiful move from Matt. He completely caught Merck napping around the outside of turn 3 or turn 4, but to be fair, Merck did come back at him, and it was beautiful side by side racing between the two of them. It was just unfortunate Matt got a penalty for it, for having to avoid a bit of an incident.
Yeah, unfortunate indeed. But now that he's been dispatched, I wonder how much easier Kelsper might find us to try and overtake a soul car in front rather than two. Here comes Beastars though. Easy move for him on Merck, and that's what he needs to do. A nice quick move, and again Kelsper, he's been held up quite a lot there by Matt, so this is perfect for Beastars to get back into the fray. And this has worked out excellently for Kevin and Beastars. Kevin's now got another penalties range he could even pick up at this stage, and he's got a decent gap, so this has worked out absolutely a treat for him. Kelsper is absolutely dying back here. He's going to try and go for the move, I think, before even to the DRS line. Here he comes, same place as last time.
He's got it that time.
Do or die stuff, but Matt's coming back. Would he use it? No, he doesn't use overtake. I thought he might on his way out, but elected not to in the end. And that should be Kelsper through. And the superior grip should mean that he's safe through the section of the track as he is.
Yeah, he is. It's not often you see Kelsper rattled, because Kelsper at that moment used his overtake. It's not often we see Kelsper running with only 16% ERS, because he usually likes to save it. It just shows you he's being rattled, and he does feel the pressure from now that he has this penalty and that Kevin is so far ahead. He is feeling this pressure, and it's showing at the moment that Kelsper's actually crumbling a wee bit under the pressure. So hopefully now within the clear air, he has 12 laps now to get, or 12 or 13 laps to get this gap down. Can he do it? It's going to be a very tough one, particularly with the pace that Kevin's got and the ERS as well. Kevin's got 70% ERS, and at the moment is in an absolute clear path to victory if he does not make a mistake. But we know that's in Kevin's locker. He does make a mistake from time to time. Hopefully now that if someone's in a party that is listening with him, if he can keep his head down and keep it going, he will have a chance of winning this race, and it'd be fantastic for him to see it, because he has had a very, very tough season with DNFs and everything like that.
The thing as well, he's beyond his side. He's not only got all that ERS, but he's got a cushion that he doesn't have to push extremely hard and be risking those track limits and corner cuts. So, he's in a very good spot where he can control his own pace and play a bit of the longer game, and maybe hope that Kelsper could even pick up another penalty himself, trying to get back within that range too. So Kevin's got all the things he needs to do to win this race. It's all up to him now at this stage. Everything that he needed to have happen has happened for him, and he just has to it's up to him now. No one else can dictate this race. It is all up to him, unless of course a safety car were to come out, which would swing the advantage back to Kelsper with Kevin's extra penalty as things stand. But Beastars almost pushing Matt coming into sector 3 here. Matt should be pitting, I'd say, now, and there he is. And Beast should get the DRS then for these two zones, so that'll help nicely. nice boost there. He's going to try and use it, like he's going to make use of it using overtake as well, just to get that as much straight line speed as possible, because he is out of he's actually dropped quite a bit back. He's only 2 seconds behind Casper, so he's lost quite a bit of time there, stuck behind Matt as Matt comes into pit on for softs.
Yeah, I actually do apologise for the guys further on down, because I haven't actually been watching them too much because I've been so intrigued by this battle ahead. But Matter is making a move down the inside of Stevie G. Stevie G has still not pitted, neither has Matter, but Matter's made the move. Beautiful. Wesker as well has had a very quiet race. I haven't even seen much of him, but he is now in the back of Stevie G, and Matter's not too far in front. So Wesker at the moment is just quietly going about his business, but Matt is down at P12 on a set of soft tyres, which everybody else in front of him is in the hards or the mediums, and they're pretty badly worn. So I expect Matt to close in maybe even a couple of seconds a lap at the very start anyway. But Wesker's made the move around the outside. CVG didn't really fight it too much. The question is Stevie G now going to fight Dobby? I don't think he will, because I think at the moment Stevie G just wants to keep learning medium TC and not really fight drivers too much. But we will see. As to be fair, Graham, it was getting a bit spread out, but now with the fact everybody is now starting to claw their way back just a wee bit, with some drivers pitting and others just their tyres are just getting wore out and they're losing a lot of time.
Those three drivers there, CVG, Merck and Matt, have yet to pit up, or Wesker up with an FP4 after all that, and then we'll see where these guys kind of filter in as Matter is in, and Merck is going long here. He's actually, if anything, Merck is damaging his own race here by not putting on a set of sauce at this stranger, because he's only going to be losing more and more time. He has to, if he's got to pit, he's got to be this lap surely, because otherwise he's not utilising those softs to their maximum potential by limiting the number of laps that we know they can do, but he's not completing that number of laps.
That is true, but I'm also surprised, Graham, as well. Stevie G came in for a set of medium compound tyres. It's a very interesting one from Stevie G, but I was just keeping an eye on the gap from Matt and Combi. It was 9.1 seconds last lap, it's now 6.6. That's how quickly Matt is closing in. It was 2.5-3 seconds at last lap. That's how quick these tyres are at this stage of the race. So I expect Matt, if he keeps this sort of pace up, which he is currently a second up on his best time at the moment, which is probably going to go on for the fastest lap, if he can keep this pace up and the tyres can hang on, Matt is actually, to be fair, still not out of a chance of maybe if he getting around the Dobby Adams sort of range. I think Wesker might be a tiny bit too out of reach, but Matt is still, if the tyres will stay, he still has a chance of maybe a top 7, top 6.
Yeah, the problem is though his penalties are going to come into effect again. Like, he could get up towards Dobby. Once he clears Combi, like once he catches cars in front of Combi, there's quite a few there quite close by. But he's got 6 seconds worth of penalties as Merck now finally pits. He's got 6 seconds worth of pens, and there's one or two that have 1 penalty in front, and then you've got the likes of Dobby and Paco who've got none. So this is exactly what Matt needed to avoid. But he's going for fastest run lap here, and he gets a 121.5. See if Merck can top that.
See if Merck can top that, is right. But Merck has, to be fair, these two were side by side, and it just shows you how much time Matt has gained on them soft tyres doing an undercut. He's nearly 9 seconds clear of Merck. That just shows you how much time Merck has lost. And to be fair, Merck's under a bit of pressure from Matter now, because Matter has a lot more heat in his tyres compared to Merck, but I don't think he's going to be close enough to make the move. He is not, so Merck is going to have to get his head down, and so is Matter, and hopefully these two guys can find as much time as Matt is finding and get their way up the field. But it could be a wee bit out of reach for the two of them. But Matt definitely at the moment is the man that need to keep an eye on for making a few gains in the rest of this race.
Yeah, that's mad, that gap between him and Merck. They were right there, they're very close to each other for most of that race, and 9 seconds is a lot. So that just shows you how much time Merck has lost by going a little bit too long, arguably, on those softs. If Matt gets a puncture at the end, then you could say I told you so, or you could say I was wrong. But it's a lot of time, and he's got another bit of lost time now as another penalty has come right. So even if he does catch up, he's going to lose all his good work basically.
Yeah, he definitely is. But Dobby is just outside the 1 second window from Wesker. I think this battle between Wesker, Dobby, Adam, Gamer Paco is going to get it's going to get very spicy the last couple of laps. But to be fair, Beastas, Wesker, Dobby and Gamer Paco all don't have any penalties. And how far is Beastas? Like, how many penalties? So Beastas is just over 3/10 out of the window of getting P2. He's 4 seconds out of winning the race at the moment. So Beastas he's there or thereabouts. He needs a mistake from the guys in front of him to have any chance of winning this race from their penalties.
Yeah, very much so. Dobby are on 11 lap old hards. That could work. That could come into effect towards the end of the race, possibly. Maybe a bit more pace could be had there, but very nice job here from Kevin. He's extended that gap ever since Casper overtook him. Casper not really saving a lot of ERS then. Kevin has used about 10 or so %. So he's looking very comfortable here, and even if he were to pick up another penalty, he has more than enough gap to bridge it. He's got one more penalty than Casper has at the moment, so if he were to pick up another penalty, 6 seconds would be what he needs to cover him off, and he's got a 7.7 and increasing gap. So it's worked out very nicely for Kevin. Then he's got kind of all out on his own. He can just kind of focus and not have to worry too much about cars behind him, and it's sadly not every race is like this because you don't have the luxury of being on your own, but he's shown that when he's out in front and not bothered, and not bothered by other cars around him, putting a very, very good drive, and that's exactly what he's doing.
Yeah, he definitely is. And to be fair, I think the guy said in the chat as well that him and Adam have both done probably 3 race distances around here as well. So it just shows he's put quite a bit of practice into this track, and if he is putting a lot of practice into a certain track, you can see from the evidence right here that he will have the pace to win any single race. It just depends whether he puts the time and effort in to do it, which hopefully this win actually does get him, motivates him to put in more time into the game and more time into practicing, because if he's practicing like this and he's winning at the rate he is now, that's surely more for having and Casper and all behind you too, like if you're beating them.
He's got the pace to win almost any race he enters essentially, but it's just putting it all together, the consistency, the lack of penalties, keeping it in a straight line. He just has to clean those up, and it's disappointing because he's been league racing for as long as he has. Oh, it's a car off at Chubbs. He's been really racing for a while, has Kevin, and hasn't quite.
Safety car! Oh, Jesus! And the thing is, too, Chubbs is still going. It's just because he's broke his whole front wing.
That puts BSAS in prime position to win this race.
Kevin and Kalsper
will be delighted as well.
Oh, Kevin and Kalsper are going to be, I'm going to say it now, pissed.
That's devastating for Kevin. He had that race completely in the bag, and it's I'm afraid it's disappeared.
Oh, the question is though, Graham, surely every single person is going to box. Surely.
A track position though is tough. If I was Kevin, I might box because you're losing track position anyway. If he pits, he'll likely come out in 5th, maybe. At least he'll have sauce where he can at least try and bridge a gap. That's because he's got. What's the gap between him and? It's 20 seconds to him and Dobby. It'd be tight. They're all under a delta.
I think he should be okay. I think with them being onto the delta, because he'll go a lot quicker in the pit lane compared to the guys on the track.
Yeah,
I think
it's worth it because he's losing track position anyway.
He's going.
He may as well. I think there's nothing to lose here, and more to gain in the race because he's already losing a lot. He may as well do this, and Kalsper probably should be thinking the same thing as well.
But then what about Beastas? Because Beastas is in a prime position here.
He stays out. Should stay out. He's not got the gap, so he'd only lose. He'd hand the race to Wesker basically. He was going into the pits, and Dobby's going into the pits too. I think Beast had no choice but to do that because if he stays out, if he pits, they stay out. Basically, I think is what they do. They just do the opposite of what Beastas does.
Hey, but to be fair, where's Matt going to come in this?
Matt's got 9 seconds worth of penalties, but he's going to get the track position at least.
He is indeed. He's ahead of Kalsper. Oh, is he? Side by side. Oh, Kalsper, I think. Oh, Kalsper got it. Oh. But to be fair, Graham, this might help Kevin because he's got Paco behind him on 16 lap old hards, and it's going to be hard for Kalsper. Kalsper needs to overtake that very quickly. If Kalsper gets held up, it could help Kevin get the gap. It's going to be a very tricky one now. The next couple of laps, it's going to be a 5-lap sprint. Basically,
Wesker came out behind Merck there, so I can't imagine Merck will fight Wesker too hard. But Wesker's the 3rd place driver here without a podium in that way. So it's going to be going to be very interesting how they handle that. Beast will be overtaken. I don't think there's any question about that. But it's the gap. He should be safe. I don't think it'd be tough for Kevin to play a 6-second gap in. Let's be honest. It's going to be lap 26 when the safety car is. So it's 4 laps. Do you know what? If he gets that move done on the first lap, he could do it. It's going to be tough, but he could do it.
He could do it. We've seen that he has the pace, because even on the same tyres in Clear, he was pulling the gap out to Kelsper. So it does show that he has the pace. But the question is, though, is Beastas actually going to fight this? Because realistically, if he lets Kevin go and stays within he's going to probably take the win anyway. It depends how quickly Kevin just bolts on up the road. But if Beastas thinks that Kevin's going to bolt on up the road, he's not going to have the gap. So is Beastas' mindset now defend this for as long as possible, or let Kevin go and try and follow him? Because if he tries to follow him, I'm pretty sure Kevin will pull out 6 seconds in 5 laps, because them tyres are going to be superior than the tyres Beastas is on. So Beastas is in a bit of a dilemma here as well, I would say.
He just has to, I don't think Kevin. Yeah, if he can follow Kevin, basically, he's in a good spot. But I don't think that's realistic. He just has to just try and keep him behind as long as he can, and once he does eventually, we do expect Kevin to eventually pass. There's a significant difference in tyre here. I do expect he'll find some traction zone where he'll find a way to get by, and it's when that happens, it's the guys behind then. So he's got a bit of a shield in terms of one Paco and Matt and Merck on older softs. He should still be good. It's Wesker and Kelsper coming through. Then will be the interesting ones. He's just got to not get too caught up in on-track battles. If he can avoid those or lose as minimal time as he can, that's the key here.
It's definitely it's a tricky one what to do, because I don't know, the racer in me would want to win it on track. Because if I was in Beastas' shoes, I'd want to defend it as much as possible, even though it's not the smartest thing to do. But being a racer, you'd want to win it on track. But it's one of them ones. It's just very tricky to decide what to do. But it's going to be interesting to see if Kevin can actually make the move as quick as possible. Because if he makes it on this lap, literally up in the turn 3, he will have the time to bolt on. He will have the time to make the 3-second gap to Kelsper, which should be easy doable. But he needs 6 seconds into Beastas, which could be very tricky. So I don't know. Kevin is in a very, very tricky situation. That safety car definitely did not help him whatsoever.
Oh no, but this race may not be over just yet. Kevin could still have a chance to win this, but this first lap is going to be extremely important. He needs to clear Beastas. Safety car is in this lap.
Yes, when Beastas going to bolt it. To be fair, I think Beastas' tyres will be definitely a lot harder to get up the temperature now compared to the likes of Kevin's and all. As Kevin's on the much safer. To be fair, Beastas is bolted, and Kevin has followed him and has not lost any time. And you can see Kevin, oh look at this, he's going to make the move. Is he going to make it in turn 1? If definitely not turn 1, it definitely will be turn 3. And I think he's going to wait to turn 3 and go for it then. So he's hit Beastas.
He's sent around.
Oh, Beastas, he's went in too deep, and Beastas in the wall. Oh, that's not. Oh, and Beastas had to reset the track. Oh no.
Contact.
The thing is,
from Kevin.
I don't think Kevin meant it. I just think he just came in way too hot. That was the only thing. I don't think he deliberately tried to do it. I just think he just definitely didn't expect the great overspeed that he has. But for Wesker right around the outside of Merck was locking up the inside of Gamer Paco. Wesker, as we were saying, Graham, is definitely not out of this race just yet. Wesker could actually still win this if he keeps within a 3-second gap.
He's got to clear Paco right now around the outside.
Oh, he's going for it.
Be able to do it. Yeah, he's got that. Paco will fill him behind, and now he's got to dispose Matt, and then he needs to stay within 3 seconds of Kelsper. What he needs to do to win this race.
And you know what? I know for a fact. I think learning the wheel is actually. Kelsper picked up another penalty.
See, in prime position now.
The thing is, learning the wheel, I think, is in this lobby and is actually spectating. So he's obviously going to be feeding information back to Wesker and Kevin. And now the fact that Kevin knows that Kelsper has a penalty, Kevin now can still win this, but Kevin needs a 6-second gap to Wesker, and that could be tricky in the next couple of laps. But we know who the difference in speed between the two of them. So, it's going to be very tricky. I don't know. I think Wesker will win this. I really do.
Wesker, yeah, it's his to lose now at this stage. His biggest. If he can get by Matt, this race should be over. But it's easier said than done because Matt is on sauce as well. They're older, but he's in the dirty air right now, and he needs to get by, and it's not going to be the easiest thing for him to do. So these are key laps, and that's retirement there for Beastas, and he won't win this race, but that's big for Matt, who was basically nowhere compared to Beast in this race, and now you have an advantage again.
He will have an advantage again, and to be fair, the gap now between Kevin and Wesker is, I would say, about 3.6 seconds. So at the minute, Kevin's doing everything he can to get ahead of Wesker, and the gap's gradually going up and up and up. So Wesker, as we were saying, he needs to pass Matt quickly. If he doesn't, he's going to definitely not be able to do it, and the gap is 4 seconds now. So at the rate it's going here, Kevin should win this race. And to be fair, Wesker is not even within the 3. Well, to be fair, I was going to say he's in the 3 second window of Kelsper, but regardless, he's going to jump Kelsper anyway, because, well, to be fair, is he? Because he's really only like 3.5 seconds ahead.
Gap is rising though.
It is
4.6.
Oh, I don't I think Wesker is a chance. Oh, and that's the Arham out. I think Wesker definitely will get a podium, but as for P2, I don't know. It's 4.5, and he has just under 2 laps to do it, and Kevin's just absolutely stormed the fastest lap of the race.
DRS is enabled though. This is exactly what Wesker needs.
Oh.
This might still save his race. Oh, he's closing quick. Oh, he's got to commit. Maybe if he used a bit more ERS, perhaps he could have sent it, but this is the key right here, as Paco losing places on his hards. Matter kind of bullying his way by, and it's Matter into 6th place.
Yeah, we're completely disregarding the guys in behind. We're focusing on the boys at the front. So I do apologise for the lads behind, but to be fair, Paco, it's brave for Paco to stay out. Like, I can understand why he didn't. I can understand why Beastas did it too, but you're just seeing, oh, look at this, is going to go Dobby and Combi up the inside. Oh, it's tight, but Combi makes a move. Adam Mako's trying to go around the outside of Dobby, and he does. So that's a very opportunistic move from Adam, and very well strategically thought out. But I think now at the moment, yeah, Wesker's not going to get this gap. He's too far out, and at the rate Kevin's going, he's just going to Kevin is going to win this race effectively on track at the moment. And I think Wesker, for Wesker, I think does he have the gap to Kelsper? He has at the moment.
He does.
At the moment, he has the gap to Kelsper, so Wesker can still take P2. But as we were saying, he needs to pass Matt very quickly, and at the moment, Matt has the pace to keep him behind. But I'm just watching these guys in behind: Adam Mako, Combi, Gamer Paco, Matter, Dobby. They're all just so close, and
here he comes around the outside. Matt has let him go, so now it's game on. Can he gain? He needs to gain back some time this lap, does Wesker?
He doesn't. He has the DRS, which is helping him just a bit, but the gap is 6.3, 6.2, so the gap is coming down. It's just not coming down quick enough. This is going to be touch and go. I think this is going to come down to, oh no, I was going to say a couple of tenths, but I don't know, it's going to be a couple of tenths, and it's going to be less than a second anyway. Adam Combi, Dobby, it's a big crash. It's a massive crash. They tried to go 3 wide, it just didn't work. I think it was into turn 4, just did not go. 2 drivers out. Adam Combi, Dobby also picked up a bit of front wing damage as well. Stevie G just straight through the middle of them, and Captain Chubbs, to be fair, I think he's actually still, Captain Chubbs is still going, so he's managed to avoid everything. But at the moment, Merck is right behind Matt, and Matt is definitely going to lose out to this on penalties, but Merck is looking to do this on track, and is he going to go around the outside? He definitely is. Oh, but Matt defends it beautifully, and you see ahead Kelsper and Kevin going around the last couple of corners, so I think Kevin is going to win it. To prefer Merck has passed Matt as well, so Kevin is going to win this, and I think this is going to be the win that Kevin wants, and I think he's going to keep it, and it's a fantastic result, and yes, he is definitely going to keep it. Very well deserved, and it's definitely hopefully a kickstart that he needs. It's a shame he's won the race a shame he's winning in the second half towards the end of the season. He should have been doing this at the start. Wesker fantastic P2, Kelsper ends up P3, Gamer Paco no penalties on the hards finishes P4, and Dobby finishes P5 and Matter P6.
Whew.
Jesus.
Somehow that ended up working. I thought that race was done for him, to be fair, but soft tires exactly what he needed to do, and but I think he may see if Beastas reports it, but he is on the hook for that turn 1 collision. I think just the grip that Beast had was so little, and Kevin was just looking to take so much more speed than Beast could actually ever get on himself.
I know. I'm just writing in the chat saying, Kevin, I wanted to see that racing all season. Because he only decides to do it now, but he does take the fastest lap as well and take a pole position, so pretty much it's a full full house for Kevin this evening. He's going to pick up the full 27 points. So fantastic from Kevin, absolute dominating display. It's nearly lost it on the safety car. Wesker's going to be I think Wesker's going to be annoyed that the fact he was only 7/10 off winning the race, but to be fair, from P6 to P2, especially around Australia, fantastic result. Kelsper, I think Kelsper's going to be very disappointed with the race because he was pretty much keeping with Kevin in the pit stops, but then the pit stops after that there, he just couldn't get past. Was held up a lot by Merck and Matt, and that just compromised his whole race. But he did end up P3, Gamer Paco P4, W P5, Matt are P6, and then you have Merck and Matt both 7th and 8th. Chubbs 9th, Stevie G 10th, and then you have Adam Combi who crashed on the last lap. Unfortunately, the two of them will not be registered. And then you have Beast, Yarham, and Bomber Sanford rounding off the rest of the grid.
Whew. Well, that was eventful as far as Australia goes.
It was like kind of spread out for a while, but then it started towards near the end of the race. It started to come back, so it was one of them ones where it was to be fair, some of the racing was good, but then some was just like, so guys trying to go 3 wide into one corner was just never going to work. That happens everywhere, to be fair, but you know, every track all the same. But Graham, it was a good Australian Grand Prix, so you know, we can't be too disappointed.
No, I think as Australian Grand Prix go, I think we've done quite well.
We did do quite well. And what's the next track off the top of my head? The next track actually is Japan. So it is next. Japan's the next track. So that is going to be, I'm probably going to say, a bit of a wheel heaven. So you would see the likes of Kelsper and Kevin maybe putting in another strong performance next week as well, because Pad's probably going to struggle through that S section of Japan anyway. So
at least Yarn will be a bit more prepared for this one.
Yeah, Yarham will be, because he's got a setup and has done a few laps of practice, so there's no excuse Yarham for next week. So you need to get the elbows out, and then after that we have Zandvoort in Spain. So these set of tracks are not great tracks for much overtaking, so looks like qualifying is going to be very important for the next couple of weeks anyway. But anyway, that's going to be it from me and Graham. Once again, it's always been a pleasure being in the box for you, so thank you very much.
Not at all, my pleasure.
So that's going to be it from me and Graham. So hopefully you all enjoyed the stream. Thank you everybody for those watching. I think we had 13 or 14 people actually watching, so that's very, very good turnout, especially for our live stream. But there will be more views hopefully later on in the evening once everybody else has rewatches the race and all. So if you do watch the race and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. It'd be massive thoughts. And also thank you to Timo as well for doing all this stuff on Twitter. Really, really appreciate it. The Twitter stuff is a lot better than when I was doing it. We're getting full track maps, a lot of daily updates, so it's all good. Timo's doing a fantastic job. But as I said, from me and Graham, it is going to be peace out, and we will hopefully, Graham will see you next week, but I will definitely see you next week, but we'll see you then.